This stream is cleared for takeoff. A warm welcome, everyone, out here today. Welcome to our March Developer Livestream featuring Jorg, Seb, and Marcial from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Happy spring, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jayne. I am the Senior Community Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Really excited to be here to get started, talk about what's been going on behind the scenes, what's in store for the near future of the sim. Of course, below, Jorg, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining.
Great. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Seb. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm great.
And Marcial, welcome in.
Thank you. Welcome to you too. I don't know. very nice to be with you. I've been a bit surprised by. I was expecting something more like what you said to Seb. Very nice to be with you.
Well, we are really excited. We got some great things to show you. So we're going to just jump right in because I know you want to get to the meat of all of this. So we're going to kick it off by talking about what we've released this past year. And Jorg, off to you.
Yeah, so hi, everyone. It's been busy so far in 2023. That's why I said we're off to a flying start.
Good one.
7 weeks ago, we celebrated the launch of AAU1, which was really positively received. Working titles improvements to the CJ4, the Longitude, and the TBM were really appreciated. Obviously, the G3000, P21 were all updated, which was great. Then 4 weeks ago, we launched World Update 12, New Zealand, our highest rated World Update yet, made us very happy. And with it, we launched Orbex's Caribou, which was also really well received. And frankly, I just wanted to say that when we get positive feedback from you guys, nothing gives us more energy than that. So thank you for all the positive comments. And then a few days later, on the 27th of February, we launched the Antonov on PC. Partners with Antonov, the manufacturer. AnyBuild developer did a great job with the plane. And just to repeat that, Microsoft is giving 100% of the proceeds of this to Antonov, and the money will be used to build a new Antonov in the future. Zelensky actually was just talking about this just recently again. And just to give you a quick update, it's the fastest selling plane in the sim ever. And we will announce nice round numbers hopefully very soon. And thank you all for supporting this effort. And then yesterday, we launched Sim Update 12, and with it, Famous Flyer 5, the Antonov 2 from Andre from AT Simulations. At long last, I would say that that plane has been in the making for a long time. It's a great plane. It turned out really, really wonderful, and we're proud of it. And then with SU12, we're also finally bringing WASM to Xbox. The Antonov 225 it's also out on Xbox. And I wanted to say, I'm not sure if you noticed, but just if you bought the plane, you might have seen that there was some price cut for first-party planes. And it's something I wanted to say in the last FQ&A, and I totally forgot. So I had read over the holidays some feedback in the forums that people felt that we are not really supporting those who really support us the most, the people that buy Premium Deluxe or bought Premium Deluxe or Deluxe versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I sort of leaned back and said, yeah, they're right, totally agreed. So then decided to do a price cut for all first-party planes for Premium Deluxe and Deluxe users. Basically, all first-party planes from here on out are going to be 33% off. And that plus the fact that we have started to upgrade the planes from the Premium Deluxe edition, obviously started with AAU1. I think hopefully you see this as a clear indicator that we really do care and really appreciate all of you that support the sim that particular way. All right, so today let's look at the next slide. Here's the roadmap so far. It's starting to fill up a little bit. We're like a fourth through the year already, which seems crazy. We talk in a little bit about SU12 in more detail. Today we're announcing World Update 13, as we should. We have Hans Hartmann here to show us where he is with his team with the ATR, which launched at the same time as World Update 13. Then we talk a little bit about the challenges of the marketplace, actions we took based on the feedback that you've given us in last month's Q&A and before. And then we'll obviously have several Q&A sessions. At the very end, we also have a nice, delightful surprise. So, all right, let's talk a little bit in detail about Sim Update 12. And I think Martial, you go first.
Oh, you are muted.
Muted.
There we go.
Yes, WASM on Xbox. So maybe let's start with an explanation of what is WASM. So to start with, we've decided on PC, both on PC and Xbox, not to use the native code anymore. In the past, on FSX, you could use some DLLs. There were two reasons for that. The first one is that when you launch DLLs, you can get some bad DLLs that are doing bad things on PC, and we want to prevent that. And this is not compliant with Xbox. So we have chosen to go through a different direction, and this direction was going through JavaScript. But there's a problem behind that, because most of the third parties has an history in doing planes, in doing add-ons for a flight sim, and this was not compliant with JavaScript. So the solution was called WASM. WASM is turning C++ C codes into JavaScript and make that code being available on now both PC and Xbox. So that was a bit straightforward on PC. On Xbox, we had some issues. It was linked to the platform itself. On Xbox, you need to get some signed code to be running. We thought that WASM was compliant initially with the Xbox team, and it wasn't. So we had to find some other ways of doing WASM on Xbox. It took some time to do that, but it's not working. And we are pretty proud and happy that now we can bring all these planes to Xbox, the one that is WASM. So that's the technical explanation. Maybe you want to add something else.
Also muted.
Yeah, also. Oh.
No, can't hear you yet.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Good morning. Mute buttons. We have problems. No, I mean, I think this is hopefully, I think this is a momentous moment. At least at Microsoft, we think about it this way, because this has never been done before, and I think it represents a major highlight for consoles in general. And you should take just a moment. It's because of the flight sim community that is changing. You know, you can now run native code in a sandbox on a console. That allows creators to do a lot more things than in the past on consoles, and it's because of the creators on the flight sim community that this change is coming. I predict this will go to other game products, hopefully other sim products, and it's just the beginning of something. I think it's huge, and we should track how that is really going to change the ecosystem. But I'm super happy how this all came together. Asobo did a great job making it work.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thanks for your comments on WASM. We'll move on to you, Seb, to talk about both helicopters and thermal improvements in Sim Update 12. To kick it off.
Yep.
Yeah,
So there was quite a few improvements on Sim Update 12. A lot of bug fixes. Basically, we looked at feedback, whether it was feedback on issues or people wanting improvements, or also third party who needed things on helicopters. Mm-hmm. I have a short video which shows one of the improvements that applies to the Cabri, which is basically when you have the governor, you can turn it on and off. It was not perfectly smooth. It was not perfectly nice and smooth. So if you can play the video, I will comment on the other things. Absolutely. While the video is playing. It's pretty long. Okay. In the video, so what I'm doing is I'm putting the helicopter to it's 530 RPM and turning the governor on and off, and then I'm just playing around with the throttle and turning the governor back on and off, and seeing it's always perfectly smooth and matches the RPM as it should. Whether on ground, so I did it on ground. It's easier than especially to record the video, but in the air in all situations. On the Cabri, there's also like little bug fixes, like when you were on the ground and there was a little bit of wind, the helicopter was very slowly drifting, or it was small, right? It was tens of inches, but it was a small drift. Little improvements like this. And then also we did improvements which are so not applying to the Cabri, but to other helicopters. For example, we have now support for governor switches on turbine engines, which was not the case before. We have added something which is important, is the engine trimmer. So for helicopters who have that, you can basically, imagine the Cabri has a 530 RPM. You could trim this up or down and say, oh no, I don't want a 530. I want the governor to go for 525 or something like this. So this is now supported. We added support for correlator. Actually, the Cabri is supposed to have a correlator, so this I think we will improve and add in the future. It will make a small difference when you change the collective. We improved the support for multi-engine, rotor friction. So how fast the rotor is slowing down when you unclutch, for example, can now be tuned on helicopters, and you can tune how strong the brake is on helicopters. So this is quite a lot of improvements we made, and we're continuing to listen to community and helicopter makers' feedback and keeping track of what is requested.
Mm. Fantastic. And then on to thermals. There we go.
Yes, so on thermals, we had so as we said, we improved thermals on Sim Update 11 together with gliders. There was a lot of changes in the system, and I think at the time we asked for feedback. We got really a ton of feedback. Some people actually did a lot of detailed feedback with drawings and explanations. Some people did research, and we're very, very extremely thankful for all that. It helped a lot. We did quite a lot of improvements on Sim Update 12 on thermals. So first of all, one thing that was slowing us down a little bit is that some people, some simmers don't like turbulences or that it moves around all the time a lot. And the problem we had is basically in order to get thermals and turbulences more realistic, we had to add more. So what Sim Update 12 has is options. And if you go into assistance menu, piloting, you have at the very bottom an option where you can have 3 different settings of how much you want the air to be turbulent. It does not take away thermals, so you can still play soar around with the glider, or you will still get updraft, but they will be smoothed out a lot if you turn it too low, which means that it's going to be a lot less shaky. And thanks to this, we could now improve thermals even further on Sim Update 12 in the realistic mode. So there's a video which is going to go over all the changes we did. So it's a 10-minute flight, which we speed up 3x. So if you want to start playing this right now, so I can talk to the changes while we're flying.
There we go.
So the plane is an autopilot heading, but on the pitch I have a pitch hold. I don't have an altitude hold. And so one of the very important thing is that the thermals are very much dependent on the solar irradiance. So how much sunlight is hitting the ground. So this is obviously time of day. So you're going to get the biggest thermals at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock when the sun is vertical, or just after, right? After the sun is vertical. Latitude plays a big role. Time of day plays a big role. Anything changing the sunlight hitting the ground plays a big role. Then you have clouds. When there's clouds added to the system is going to change, adding more thermals to clouds. The more there's clouds, the more clouds are going to have thermals under them. And the less there's going to be thermals on just the areas where there's blue sky. Cloud, I changed the cloud density and wind speed. So basically, the stronger the cloud density above the ground, the more thermals you will get. So it's really a column thing. If you have a very dense cloud, which is 1,000 feet big, it's going to be thick. It's going to be some thermals. But if you move up to maybe, let's say, 20,000 feet, you're going to get extreme thermals. So depending on really how big and how thick the clouds is, there's going to be an impact. Another thing we changed is we improved the alignment of the thermals with the clouds. So here there's a big thing people need to know. The visual representation of thermals in the sim, these little lines, it's really just something to help people. Thermals don't look like that in reality, basically because in reality, the thermals are going much less up, right? Let's say you have a 3-knot horizontal wind and a 1-knot upwind. Well, it would be looking like this. So what we actually do is we 4x the vertical components so that it just looks like something going up. The problem is when you fly relative to the air, well, to you, it looks like the air is going up. But from the world perspective, no, the air is going up and to the side. And so we try to align it so that it looks visually okay, that the thermals are still aligned with the clouds, like you can see here. And that they're also sort of align with where they actually are. But because of this visual representation, I can't align the visual representation perfectly where they are. They are in reality quite well aligned. Also, we cut off the thermals at the top of clouds, not exactly to the cloud pixel, but quite at the correct height. They tend to go over a little bit vertically, just because when the thermal goes up and forms a cloud, the dry air that used to be there needs to go up and to the side too, right? So there's a little bit of updraft. It's not cloud anymore, it's not humid air anymore, but still it's air getting pushed away to the up and to the side above the cloud. So clouds, thermals align much better to cloud altitudes on SimUpdate 12. They may still go over a little bit sometimes. Also, we unlocked, because of this new systems, the maximum turbulence you can get. So here I'm simulating extreme thick clouds. You're getting more and more vertical speeds, so the plane is on pitch hold, but I'm gonna get vertical speeds of 3,000, 4,000. It's going up, and at the end, I'm creating a cloud area which is like 10 or 20,000. I mean, it's pretty much a TCU. It's extremely thick, and it completely you shouldn't go in there with the Cessna. I can barely hold speed. I'm getting a lot of wind shear because thermals on clouds, there's some sort of a vortex system, so it goes to the side. So I can get a lot of abrupt, I would say, wind changes. And so let's say you're flying 100 knots steady, and then all of a sudden the wind, there's 100 knot gust, and then you can get up to 200 or to 0, right? Depending on which direction the gust comes from. And in the end, I think that the plane just does a looping because it's completely out of control. Just saying, so the people who want to have unlocked, extreme turbulences in clouds, just find places on Earth or set the weather system so that you have a very large cloud systems which are very dense, and you will get extreme turbulences.
Awesome, thank you, Seb, and thank you to everyone who's put feedback in the forums about thermals. I think one just overall question from them is, are there more planned thermal updates in the future for our sim?
Yeah, so we have had a lot of feedback on SimUpdate 11. We implemented, I would say, everything that was extremely clear and where there was basically no question that it's correct. We implemented right away. There was a few issues where it's not perfectly clear, and so the difficulty is in the real world, you don't have something where you can turn on a button and you can see airflow, right? So there's books, you can do experiments, there's some weather simulations, but who knows how it really should happen? And so we're trying to, on stuff which is a bit more questionable, we're continuing to gather feedback also. Feedback from pilots. We're looking at other threads where people discuss, because what I really like is in these threads, some people say something, some other people say, hey, it should be this way. So it's extremely helpful. And yeah, please continue providing feedback. We will continue to improve moving forward, obviously, as much as we can. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are going to move on now to talk about the AI traffic improvements in SimUpdate 12 with Martial. Check your mic. Yep.
I think that it should be done to a gimmick on this one. So yes, we've been working on the AI traffic for SimUpdate 12. So we did some few fixes. Everything is written in the notes of this build. So, my phone is falling. Regarding planes, we have worked on the behavior of those planes, especially when landing and taking off. So we fixed some incorrect placing for the departure procedures. We have fixed some plane being stuck at all shorts on airports. We fixed also planes' behavior on low altitude after takeoff. I think also we had some planes spawning in wrong position that has been fixed, and during go-arounds on low altitude, we had some issues there, also fixed. We also had some different fixes regarding the displaying of the names, some crashes with the ITC, and the last layer of fixes we did was fixes with SimConnect. You can use SimConnect to inject your own AI plane there. It's used by a lot of third parties that does some AI traffic. And we were not injecting some of these planes correctly, especially on our system. We need a flight plan to be able to put an AI on a plane. So on the planes that are injected with SimConnect, this has been fixed too. And also the same for departure gates. So SimConnects now should work better for inject planes. So different layers of fixes there.
Yep. And here we did also get some great feedback throughout the beta on these fixes. So thank you to those who did submit. We have those with us already. Just another general question for those in the forums and community, just wondering, so these fixes that came with Sim Update 12, they also would like to know, are there like deeper architectural fixes or bigger AI things or fixes coming for traffic in the future as well?
Like all features, we will try to improve everything at the same time. I also saw some question about third parties being able to have some benefit from the improvement we did. So it's yes and no. Everything that I said regarding SimConnect will be a benefit for third parties add-ons. And if you see everything that we've done in a whole engine for the AI traffic, this is not shared yet. Well, not shared. Another word about the AI traffic. During the last update, we also did some work because sometimes we are missing. So now we are much more accurate. The filtering was a bit too strong. When I'm talking about filtering, that we've got a partner that delivers us the data. And in order to make the AI run, the sorting was a bit aggressive in the past. We had to add like a full set of information to simulate the planes. Now we've done some interpolation. So even if some data are missing, the plane will still be here. So if you do a comparison between the data that the partner is giving us and what is displayed in the game, it's way more accurate now.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Martial. Can you talk to us about stability?
Oh, I can. I think we've got some slide about that.
Yeah.
So stability, it was a huge topic for Sim Update 12. So those slides are here to explain a bit how the team is working regarding stability. So we've got basically two tools for stability. The very first one is the telemetry itself. Because stability on bugs, the reproduction of those bugs are a must-have. It's very hard to fix a bug when you don't have any reproduction. If you don't have any repro, it means that every fix is a guess rather than being sure. If you got a reproduction, you can try with the fix and see that the bug is not happening anymore. So that's why we are trying with the telemetry to get the best reproduction of what was the behavior of the simmers before the sim is crashing. So we've got telemetry events for that. So two things here. We've got plenty of stats like that, and these are maybe the most simplest ones that we have just to share with you. So the very first one is explaining when the crashes happens during the simulation session. So as you may see, most of the crashes are happening during the gameplay. Let me see my notes because it's a bit small for me. The other cause of crashes are during the loading phase. And so what can I say about that? We've got a bunch of others. This bunch of others, I will talk about that later. Sometimes we've got some crashes when the sessions ends because of many reasons. So it might not be as seen as a crash for the final users, but we are still collecting this to have the best experience. The other layer that we've got here is to explain that even telemetry is not a science. We still have some fuzzy here. So these are some bars representing some different versions on Xbox, Steam, and Store. Basically, here, the numbers we're showing, every time that we've got a blue bar, it means that we have both received the starting session and the end session. when it's orange, it means that we've got the crash events session. So we are knowing for sure that we got a session that has ended well or that has ended with a crash. And the gray zone is that sometimes we are not getting any feedback from the telemetry. So it can be because of the telemetry itself, some package not received, but also maybe because you're just getting the PC and we don't have the time to send the telemetry event. So telemetry is used for getting the behavior of our simmers and to try to get the reproduction. We've got another tool, and this is Watson. Watson is a tool that read the dumps generated by the collection of the crashes done by the system. So on both Windows and Xbox, every time you have crashes, if you add a grid on the system, this is sent to a giant collection. And Watson is here to do some deep dive into this database and to help us to understand exactly what's going on. So we can maybe move to the next slide. And this is the kind of data that we are using for helping us to understand exactly what are the major issues for the simmers. So I will show you what we did, starting with the AAU1 and what are the numbers we're getting now on Sim Update 12. So on AAU1, I will talk about 3 different versions, the store, Steam, and the Xbox version. So here are the stats we are getting from Watson. So basically Watson is getting recognition into the giant database, and we've got the statistics. So the very first one we had on AAU1 on store was linked to our anti-piracy system. So we've got a partner that helped us to get some tools for DRMs and the protection of the executable, and we had an issue with that. And this bug has been fixed in Sim Update 12. The next 2 ones are pretty known, and this is important because it's also the kind of bugs that are very difficult to reproduce. Sorry, this is linked to the famous device removed bug that we had. This is linked to GPU. We are working here directly with manufacturers to fix the bugs. And I would say also that it's super important for you guys to update those drivers because we had a lot of issues with device removes with NVIDIA GPUs. It's no less the case. It's still the case, but less the case. So please, guys, update your driver so you will have less issues there. The next one was it's still a bug that we are getting using Oculus VR. So it's not really painful for users because this crash is only happening when you're closing the session. But yet, this is the kind of bug we are tracking. The other one, it was a bug in the ATC system, which has been fixed in Sim Update 12. And after that, we've got out-of-memory crash, which is a kind of bug that you can get when your hard drive is full, for instance, or if you have a limitation if you're in your virtual memory system, the one that uses the hard drive for caching. If we go, the next one is device removed. Because even with the new drivers, we still have some device remove issues. If you go to the next slide, for Steam, you will see almost the same kind of statistics, except that the second one is linked to a crash we had in Xbox Live, which have also be fixed. The next bugs are pretty much the same. Let's see what was happening on Xbox then. So on Xbox, we know that our biggest issue is issue linked to the management of memory. So you can see that exactly, but we have also some other bugs. The very first one was the one that I was talking about on PC, linked to the ITC systems, which is fixed in Sim Update 12. And we also know that we had some crash with the Xbox Live library that has also been fixed in Sim Update 12. So now if you move to the next slide, we will see what is the status of the build now on the flighting we had for Sim Update 12. So good news, we now have some bugs have been gone, and we can see now that the major issue is linked to to the video card driver. So please, guys, update your driver so you won't get those bugs anymore. We still have some new bugs linked to SIM Connect. This is under investigation, and we need more info with that, but the occurrence is lower. And you will then get the same bugs for out of memory, some mixed reality. So it's the same for VR user. We still have some crashes when you're closing the session, but this should not affect the quality of your experience while playing. On Steam, you will see almost the same bugs. I would say also that the bugs on video cards on the sim update flighting is more happening on DirectX 12, because the one that helps us to do flighting are early adopters, and early adopters often use the latest technologies like DirectX 12. So to do that quick, you will see exactly the same kind of bugs there. The crashes we had linked to the previous systems on the protection is gone. We still have some memory leaks here, but also these are not crashes. It will just happen when you're closing the experience. So as you can see, there's no more big and major issues as we had in the past, Jorg, I'm sorry. And finally on Xbox, so now you can see that our major issues is linked to the memory. So we are working on that. The team has now put some information in the dumps on Xbox, and the goal here is to get some statistics on what are the usage on Xbox and to help us to fix those out of memory stuff. So every time the crash is happening now on Xbox, it embeds a lot of information about the memory, the content, the state, the behavior of the sim. So it will help us to understand exactly what are the major issues we're getting on Xbox, and hopefully that will help us to fix the out of memory crashes. Maybe that's being a bit long. I don't know. So this is exactly how we are working. Dealing with bugs.
I think for what it's worth, right? So thanks for all this. Stability is our #1 priority, just to be clear. So the team has been looking at this. I think this is the first time we shared some of the breakdowns. By the way, I saw some. Don't take the numbers from Watson as the numbers of players. By the way, I saw some people like, "Well, there's not that many people playing." With hundreds of thousands of people playing every day, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so it's ongoing. You know. On Xbox, memory is more constrained than on PC. There were some questions about that before, but we need to get a little bit more information of what exactly is causing it. So,
so the key on fixing bugs is always the repro. I've got an example for that on the bug we had for the device remove things. No PC at Asobo was doing the crash, so we had no repro at all. It was a nightmare to try to fix that. And hopefully one of the community members on the dev forums, he had this very bug with a 100% repro. So it's somebody in, I'm sorry, I don't have his name. I've noted it. And to thank him, he's now in the credits. So he helped us doing some repro, trying to understand exactly what's going on. And thanks to him, we were able to find a crash that removed most of the crashes linked to device remove. So thanks to him, thank you. And if you've got some issue like that, please share that to the forums, because every single information that we are collecting helps us to understand and to have that repro that is mandatory to fix bugs, at least to be sure that the bug is fixed.
Yeah.
By the way, Martial, I think there's something up with your mic. If you could just move it up a little, I think it's colliding with something.
Is it?
Yeah, everybody's.
It's just popping a bit for some reason.
I've been cursed with my mic. I've brought a new one to have better sound, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
We'll manage. We can still hear you, so that's what's important. Okay. So speaking of stability, there's also been plenty of comments regarding not only the connection lost pop-up, but also low bandwidth pop-ups that users have been getting for a while. But of course, over the past few months, we've been collecting feedback in threads in the forums about this issue. So just looking for a little insight on what you think might be going on or anything we're doing to help look into this to fix for the future.
Is this a question for me?
Yes.
Okay, so on the connection loss, we also have, so we've got some issue, and we know that we were talking about that just before this call. We had some issue depending on the CDN you're using. We also know that we have tried different iterations for this notification, saying or informing the simmer that he has lost his connection. And I think that the one that we've got today is a bit too aggressive. You've got a pop-up on which you need to interact with. If not, your SIM is blocked. We've got some conversation here. I think we are going to turn that into some notification that will be that you won't have to interact with. So there's some technical issue, and we are working on, and there's this UI UX experience that is not optimal, and we want to fix them both.
Yep. So we're going to continue tracking for those who are posting in the forums. If you're getting this pop up, we will post any updates that we can in there as well. So thank you so much. Jorg, any more content updates or Romac you would like to talk about before we get to Q&A?
I want to, because I'm reading the chat. So I just want to say we read the forums all the time. I mean, as a matter of fact, half of my weekend is spent reading forums, and we have a team of people that is dedicated to reading forum posts, and they surface issues to us all the time, and we have meetings about it. Honestly, that's what the feedback snapshot was also for, and the wish list and all that stuff. So please keep the communication open on the forums. It is our direct connection outside of these Q&A. So don't ever doubt that we're not paying attention. So when does it say that? Yeah, on content. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you looked at the release notes of Sim Update 12. Just wanted to give a shout out to our development partners, Gaia and Orbex. Specifically, Gaia fixed hundreds and hundreds of open bugs, and we are now actually pretty clean. So that's good for old world updates. And then Airplane Heaven, Asobo, of course, Blue Mesh, Builds, Nemeth, Working Title, all made major efforts to make improvements, small and large, to the various planes. We are going to do this one more time, at least this year, most likely with what we are now internally calling Sim Update 13 in August. And we're also in a position now, I think I mentioned that, to tackle tin bugs or tin improvements, specifically the bridges that have been mentioned. But I just wanted to temper expectations. It's going to probably take us all year. we have thousands of bridges. I think it's close to 10,000 bridges identified that could use that treatment. And it takes hand editing of somebody to do this. But we have a team now, so expect the quality of the tin to also improve over time. Just wanted to say all those things.
Ooh, fantastic. With that, we'll move on to our first Q&A. So chat, feel free to ask any questions there. And in the meantime, I will pull up some questions I've already received from the forums or from other users. The first question that I have is, what is the future of the legacy flight model, and do you plan on having it remain implemented? Right now we have modern and legacy for most planes to pick from. So what should we expect from that legacy flight model in the future?
I think that would be for me. So there's no plans right now to remove it. So and we're trying to stay compatible with existing aircraft, and every time we do a change, it's an additive change. Most of the time, we try to make them optional if we can. There was a bug introduced with the legacy flight model on Sim Update 11, I believe, which got fixed on Sim Update 12. We're very thankful to the developers reported this issue, helped us find it. There were symptoms with the load factor, and some planes were climbing without reason, stuff like that. So we continue debugging it. We continue maintaining it. I don't think we will add a lot of new things to the legacy flight model, but trying to keep it running. and there's no plans right now to remove it. So.
Okay, great, thanks. Question about DX12. There weren't many updates with Sim Update 12 regarding DX12, so our community is wondering if this is something we are continuing to iterate on and improve in future updates.
Always, yes. So we are always working on rendering issues, optimization. So yes, on both DirectX 11 and 12. So we're still working on DirectX 12.
And you know, DirectX 12 is in beta, so basically we're testing it. Just going back to the crash statistics that Marcel showed earlier, you can see that some of the driver crashes were still present on DirectX 12. So I would say when the bug count is gone, when everything is super stable, maybe it can go out of beta and become the default. Currently, you have still less crashes on DirectX 11 than on 12. So that's why it's the default. But yeah, we're really in the debug phase of DirectX 12.
Great, thank you. All right, another question from chat. Will we get DLSS3 support for 4090 users in the future?
We should ask Lion. I don't know.
I would know, but
yeah.
Typically is right at the cutting edge of supporting those types of video cards. So, so it's coming.
On top of that, Lion is working directly with NVIDIA's and AMD. So,
okay, that sounds
I
good.
thought it was working, so that's.
I thought it was working, so that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because earlier on the beta of the Sim Update 12, the one that went to flighting, we had an issue with this. DSLG, the frame that has been included when you're using DSL3. So I thought it was working. There's something I'm missing here.
Okay, we'll look into that. A question from the forums. Whenever a serious issue impacts the sim, like a bandwidth issue or otherwise, there's plenty of discussion regarding the expected resolution time and expected communication approach. If there is a serious issue impacting the sim where users can't play in it, what kind of resolution approach should be expected? This is our working hours, especially on the weekend or while we're on vacation. What can the users expect from us as far as communication goes?
So we are using different layers of services. So we are using, for instance, for everything regarding the authentications, we are using Xbox Live, or we're using PlayFab as a backbone for everything managing the content. We're using some CDNs. We are using our own servers that are running under Azure. So for our own services, we've got a service team here, and they are on call. So there's a rolling responsible for every day. I mean, it includes weekends also. And so for everything that we are doing ourselves, we've got that organization. For every other layers of services, let's say PlayFab or CDNs or everything else, we are relying on those services. So they do have their own policy about this management, so I can't tell for them.
No, they're actually public. So the Microsoft services are public, like PlayFab, which is a much more back end. It powers a lot of the Microsoft games. I can't tell you exactly what the LTLA is, but it's they have people all the time. Like, so it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On some of the other services, like depends what you mean. If it's Media Blue or something like this, we have specific arrangements with them when their data goes down. But like more maybe to the point that I think is being asked, because this low bandwidth issues, we're looking at it obviously. So this has been increasing over the last few days. And about communication, the communication will go to the community team and our website. But this is we try to not have the red button thing all the time. This might be one, but it seems to get worse. Even though I just recently read a report that it got better. So we need to dig into this a little bit more. But fundamentally, on the base services, Asobo is. I don't know if you're working 24 hours a day. I don't think so, but like I think there's a window where Asobo actually sleeps. Shocking. And on the Microsoft side, we have rolling shifts of people, so the Microsoft services are full support.
Yeah, it's 7 days a week, and I would say the only period that is not covered is when the one in charge can hear his phone ringing.
Yeah,
that's the only rule we've got.
Next question I have is a release notes question from SimUpdate 12. We put that we have improved loading times before booting to the main menu. Can you please talk about what changes you made to the startup process and the rough estimate as to how much time you'd expect to save in the startup process?
So yes, we've been working a lot on that. So we did two things. The first one is, the check updates that we had in the past. This has been optimized a lot by doing some factorization on the request. We are using PlayFab for that. So basically, we used to have around 45 seconds to a minute for requesting all the packages, informations, in order to be sure that we are up to date. It's now almost completely done, I would say. So it's a gain of 45 to 1 minute. On the downloading parts, once this check has been done, we were downloading some packages, updating some packages, and we have also rewritten the way the package are downloaded and installed, so it's now completely parallelized. And it's also, again, so it's hard to say how much time you will gain, but it's obviously a significant gain on this download installation process. I don't have any numbers here because it will depend on your pinging, your download, the speed of your hard drive, but everything is now parallelized. It should be optimized a lot.
Okay. Another chat question. Would it be possible in the future to increase the limit on folders that you can have in your community folder? Right now, there's a bug where the content manager will shut down if you're over the limit.
And do we know what that limit is right now? I don't know. It's big. Isn't there also a limit on number of folders you can have on a disk? It's pretty high, I imagine, but
around 1,000. Okay. In the forums, I was seeing like 1,028 or so. But you do have to have a lot of add-ons for this to happen, but it seems to be a breaking point.
That's interesting.
Very certain number.
I've never heard of this before, so it's just it's good feedback.
So possibly we'll update you. I know that which thread that's in, so I'll keep track of that one. Okay, we'll do a couple more. Another chat question here. What about ground handling? Last year, Seb said that there will eventually be a total redo of ground handling. When will the coding on the ground handling start, or has it started already?
Yeah, this is work in progress. So so far we've done small adjustments to ground handling in terms of small updates and small patches. We're continuing to look into this. If there's small improvements we can do and small tweaks, we've already added a lot of parameters to planes which allow to improve this. I think it's been added to the documentation, so it's also about I would say planes to use the parameter. And we've started the rework of improving the ground handling. That's a longer rework.
Okay. Here's a fun question. Are you going to start using some of the new AI tools in Microsoft to generate ATC?
I mean, who is not playing with this right now?
That's true.
But I mean, to make something robust, it takes time. That's all I would say to that. It's cool tech, though.
Very cool stuff. All right, we have another Q&A coming up a little bit later, so I'm seeing your questions. We'll continue to ask those in a little bit, but we're going to move on to talk about Jorg, World Update 13.
All right. Cool. World Update 13. Let's see here. It is Oceania. I remember when there were two pieces of feedback. One was stop just having Europe and North America. Got it. And then at some point, in my mind, given that I'm living in the northern hemisphere, I thought when it's cold here, maybe we need to get some summer going. So that's why we did Australia last January. We did New Zealand just in February, and now we're doing Oceania. In case you don't know, so it actually was kind of hard to make a video. Oceania is really large. So from where it is on the planet, but it's only 8 million square kilometers. The population is only 41 million or something. So it's the smallest in land and the second smallest population after Antarctica. So the region includes 13 countries: Micronesia, Fiji, Indonesia, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Nauru, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. Then there's the Cook Islands, Niue, and 28 sovereign territories, including Guam, Easter Island, Galapagos, etc. And we added Antarctica and Hawaii. So I made a bunch of pictures for you. Or rather, Holger did. Oh yeah, like here's the scope. So new dam and new aerials, 14 bespoke airports, and I don't want to overstate it. Some of these things are really airstrips. We have 140 POIs or more, 3 research stations. Photogrammetry is TBD, and that is simply because there is nobody flying these areas. I'm trying still very hard to get Hawaii photogrammetry, and some of it is now available. The weather in Hawaii was terrible, so we're a little bit behind, but we're trying to get Hawaii 10. 3 landing challenges, and just keep going. 3 bush trips and 4 discovery flights. So let's look at a little bit more detail. Here's McMurdo Station. Looks pretty cool. Here you can see we find. Whoa! I don't want to go by this too fast. I want to go celebrate.
Okay.
This is actually a big deal. I annoyed everybody when I said, "Hey, we really need to get the polls," because the polls before, like, oh yeah, trust me, all kinds of people at Asobo were like, Jorg. But flying over the poles was like this weird experience. It was just gray, there was nothing, and now there is terrain, which makes me super happy. But it was a bunch of work, so thank you for actually doing the work.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to thank the engine team because of the projections of assets on the globe, you've got that 2 poles issues, and they had to rewrite a brand new systems just for the pole. So
well, not just the Asobo.
Bing
didn't have any data there, so I had to get some Bing devs involved to go like, hey, Jorg wants polls. So it was a big undertaking, but yay. We have polls. So, I mean, just to set expectation, the data on the polls is not exactly amazing because there's not very many planes flying over. In doing the research, I actually ran into a company that told me that they're flying the polls, I think, next year with high resolution equipment, which is then we're going to actually get really good stuff. But at least we have something now so we can land. So in the airports, this is just the list. Keep going. There's plenty of them. We try to, like always, spread them out to make you have some nice landing places. Kona Airport is cool in Hawaii, and then I think I have some pictures of some of the fascinating airports that we have.
Whoa!
Keep going. Yeah, this is more of a joke, right? So this is a this is a POI near Pohnpei Airport in Micronesia, but it sort of sets the mood, right? When we're down there in the nice summer area. Here's Easter Island. Orbex is making all this, by the way, doing a great job. I've never been to Easter Island, but I want to go now just because I'm seeing all this. Like here's some. I picked a random airport in Java. See all the nice volcanoes, and here you see how small some of these airstrips really are. It's basically you're landing on a little sand beach, and that's it. All right, then POIs. I mean, basically because there wasn't, there aren't really that many big cities. Some of these islands are, they're like 2 meters above water and those types of things. So it's not like they have gigantic metropolises or something. So we offset that by making a whole bunch of POIs. Keep going there, Jayne. I know. I wrote it all down, and I'm like, oh my God, how much is this? There's more. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, exactly. So there's 150, and they're really lovely. So I picked, I think 10 or something. I don't know. Keep going. And what I love about this area is how diverse it is. It's sort of like from the almost mystical things of Easter Island to this awesome temples in Indonesia. Makes me want to visit Indonesia. There's like amazing artwork. Again, I think Orbex is doing a great job here. Then there's modern towers here in Indonesia. There's Jakarta, which is, I think, the second biggest city on Earth. There's lighthouses. Keep going. Cultural centers and places like New Caledonia, and then almost forgotten places like here on Midway, and then offset that with big tourist attraction thingies, and then obviously island getaways, which seem like that's where we want to go. Here's just to say we have Hawaii. We, by the way, have great data in Hawaii. There was new data released, so I'm very happy. Even the interiors with the volcanoes now, we have like, I think, 1 meter dam, which is cool. And here is just a list of the various activities. Keep going. Anyways, I think it's a fascinating region, and we have a perfect plane for it. So that's, I think, what's next.
Yes, our expert series 1.
There's a little video, like we did that last time. I think people liked it. So you see the beginnings of the trailer. That's still in progress, by the way. I think you have to hit one more time. Yeah.
All right. Cuts off just when we're getting really excited. But that's okay, because we have someone here to explain more about it. We have Hans Hartmann back with us today. Welcome, Hans. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Glad you're doing great. Thanks for joining us again for another Dev Q&A to give us an update on all things ATR. You're sharing your screen with us. We got some really cool stuff to look at. First of all, we'll go over a couple slides here before we get started.
Yes. This is just the introduction slide. So we're doing the 42-600 and 76-600 series aircraft. We can go on, yes. And today's presentation will be focused on avionics. Unlike the last times, I won't use slides, but this time show you a bit in the actual live aircraft on which I have here on my PC.
All right, we'll go over to your screen. There we go.
Okay, so first let's have a look around the cockpit. This is how it looks. I have to move it a bit slowly so it doesn't stutter too much. And what I want to show you today is a part of something that's quite unique in the ATR compared to many other aircraft, and that's the avionics. That's the displays in specifically. So let's start with the multifunction display. This is just the normal mode it shows in. But what you can see down here is the so-called virtual control panel. This allows quite a few things. It's controlled by this panel below the MCDU. So you can go on and, for example, enter a new frequency here, press enter, and then also swap it left and right. To make this easier, because if you look at the cockpit like this, you can't see the panel really. So we also added a way to or a click interface to allow selecting things and clicking buttons on the PFD itself, MFD itself. So there are several modes for this. For example, we have the communications mode with the COM frequencies, the navigation mode, which also allows entering VOR, ILS, and ADF frequencies. You can select the auto tuning or deselect the auto tuning here. 1 3. Oh, sorry. I should use the right instrument. Okay, and the same for the ADF, NDB. Then we have what is controlled usually controlled via an EFIS panel up on the glare shield, the display of airports and nav aids on the moving map. This is done through the virtual control panel on the ATR. We have the terrain display. This is Fuerteventura Island, and to the right, it's mountainous. So this part is shown red to us. The same, the TCAS options can be set here, and finally, for the primary flight display, the synthetic vision system, which can be switched on and off, just as you want. Many prefer the conventional way. Some will want to use this, and this sector here, this arc here, is the field of view that you see. Okay, the third or last button which is controlled by the ND controls is transponder and TCAS settings, which can also be set here. Now, the MFD does not only show the ND, it also serves as a system display. Means it shows you all the separate systems on the aircraft. In this case, hydraulics and AC wild. AC wild is something, again, ATR specific. It's a generator based on the propeller turning, so it doesn't deliver a stable frequency power. That's why they call it AC wild. This is used to drive the hydraulics pumps. As you can see here, the propellers through the hydraulics pump, and these serve those systems. The same again, and this time the secondary engine display. The primary is always visible on the middle display. Cabin temperature, air condition, and oxygen supply. Then the AC and DC power system. The ATR doesn't have DC generators, AC generators like most aircraft. It has 2 DC power generators, and AC, stable frequency AC, is generated through inverters. Something special about this aircraft again. Okay, that's back to the hydraulics. Then this is the aircraft's performance data. It allows you to see what V1 VR V2 frequency you need, bleed on and off torques for takeoff, flap setting, and so on. You can select icing conditions here and get the appropriate speeds and other settings then. So you say confirm takeoff data, everything turns green, and you're ready to go. Okay. MISC, this is the most complex page. It's really not available. We couldn't find anything that's on this page. So video, unfortunately, it's not yet possible to add an external camera, maybe on the tail, which points forward and lets you look into the flight direction, like the cameras on for example, on the A380. So we are having just a static image of the cabin interior. And finally, this might be something very interesting for you, is the map mode. So I'm going to increase this a bit. So far, it just shows one of the ground maps of Flight Simulator, but this one has a very special feature, and that's search. So you click search, you get a list of parking positions or gates. You can select the gate or parking position where you want to go. Let me go to parking position 34. You select it and you get it. You see it on the map. So it's oops, click the wrong thing. So with the result, you pretty much have your complete ground map for the airport without needing extra charts. You can easily find the taxiway towards your destination. We don't have taxiway numbers yet, or taxiway names. As soon as these can be loaded in a time that's acceptable, we can add those too. But for now, the search function and all the lines and everything is in the display. Okay, so far for the multifunction display. One more, this time for the engine and warning display. Going back a bit. This is controlled by this panel down here, and it allows you. Well, there's a number of procedures and checklists included in there. Let me start with a normal checklist. Let's use before taxi. You get the display of the taxi checklist, and you can confirm step by step. Once the procedure is completed, it leads you back to the procedure menu. There's also the complete list of emergency and non-normal procedures. So let's try this. Both DC generators fail. First is captain takes over. Both DC generators are reset, and then previous choice. And then you choose which problem, which result the reset gave you. No generator was recovered. You choose the first. One generator was recovered. You choose the second, and then complete the procedure. Good. Of course, there's also situations where and tests where these procedures are shown. For example, the engine fire and flight procedure when you use the fire test, or the warning for the loop test, and in this case, smoke detection. So there's a whole lot of things that that you can do. You can pretty much go through all the procedures. The aircraft does not have any failures at this point, though. So it's more for looking at than that a system actually fails. Yeah. So my time is almost up, or already up.
We do have
Talk way too much.
One good question from chat earlier. For those who are very excited to fly this, maybe don't have a lot of experience, do you know yet if there's something planned for either video tutorials or a manual that they'll be able to look at?
This is a question for Jorg, I guess.
Well, so the IndyBuild guys make awesome videos. Hans is, I don't think he has the same setups. So I think, Hans, you were talking about maybe doing a manual, but we need to take this. We need to take this offline. Honestly, we don't know yet. I mean, I see all this thing also about price point, and maybe that's crazy, but we haven't decided yet. Because I typically, and it was the same with the 225. I let everybody do their work. The plane reaches a certain quality bar, and then we decide. The idea here was this is an expert level plane. Hans, I think, has plenty of access to ATR and ATR pilots. I don't know, Hans, you never really talk about this, but you want to chat about this real quick? Let's just keep it short, because I do think we need to move on. Like, how many people are helping you test the actual?
So we have about a dozen testers and pilots who inform us about things. Of course, we have ATR itself, which provided us with lots of data. For example, these procedures you saw, they use the same XML file that the real aircraft uses. So that's really precise stuff. And to be honest, I couldn't be any happier about the support I got from people many of you know from YouTube and so on. So this really went well. And of course, every day, possible new features come up. Once you show them something, they get new ideas.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
Lots of compliments in chat for you, Hans. Thank you so much for giving us a brief
Thank you
overview.
all in chat.
Yeah, really excited to see this plane in the sim.
Yes.
We'll see you again soon, Hans.
I see. Just check out Magna's YouTube channel on the chat. He's actually one of the advisor pilots on our team. So
that's fantastic.
He's been a great help.
Yeah, thank you. And ATR just add. I think it's the manager of their training center that they just added to the test. So I think ATR is totally invested in helping us get this right. That's, by the way, why this plane was. It could have been shipped earlier, and we always said no, not ready. But I do think, Hans, you're feeling good about the April 25th date, right?
Yes, very good. So it really went forward by a big step with the involvement of pilots.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Hans. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you joining us. All right.
Thank you.
On to our Q&A 2. I think the first question I have for chat. Jorg, can you explain what Expert Series is? I think that's maybe the first time people have seen that, or curious what you mean by that new series.
I mean, honestly, when we started, David and I had a conversation about famous planes, and we called them famous flyers. And then we had a conversation about, like, I had this idea about world updates, and then we said, let's make planes that are in the region, so we called those local legends. And there are some other ideas. I think there's, like, what is it? record breakers, and there's all kinds of ideas for things. But with the expert series, we want to just set it apart and to make sure that this is it should be a simmers, it should make core simmers really happy, because nothing is in op. It really goes as far as we can. I saw some comments on the failure system. Yeah, well, so I agree with the person who made the comment. However, the manufacturers don't. They are not really hip in us. At least, I mean, we're trying, honestly. We're trying to convince them. It's like, hey, we're trying to make sure that simmers really understand what to do, what the procedures are when there's a failure, and they are quite sensitive of showing their equipment breaking. So this is something we are still nibbling on. But beyond that, I think it should just be everything works as it should, and real pilots that fly these planes every day give us the A-OK that this is great.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Jorg, for explaining that. I have a question here for Marcial. This was one of the forum questions from our forum moderator. So Sim Update 12, in Sim Update 12, we had a fix for this windsock bug where the windsock was turned 180 degrees in respect to the wind. So that was fixed, but there is... they say, at first I thought there was just a leftover remnant of developers who compensated for this bug that we had in Sim Update 4. But we continue to see this issue in default airports where the windsock is flipped 180 degrees. Is it possible to address this holistically, or is this something you have to do airport by airport?
Yes, it's unfortunately something you will have to do airport by airport. So this is an engineering issue here. So the SDK team has been asked to do an option to turn the windsock from 180 degrees, because some people have some issue. They did an exported their windsock on the opposite direction. So instead of changing that, they asked the coder to do that, having an option to. And well, I was a coder, and I would have said no. But the team we've got here, maybe they're a bit too nice. They've decided to bring these options, and now we've got an issue with the option when there's a discrepancy between the orientation of the windsock and this option that allows the windsock to be turned. So from a point of view, I would love to talk to the... I will take some time to talk to the team so we can see if there's a way of fixing that, because it will be an ongoing issue if we don't find a realistic way, or I don't know, an automated way of getting the right rotations. But maybe to start with, I think the SDK team has been too nice, saying yes for an option that should have been fixed by re-exporting the asset first.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Marcial. And kind of on that note, is there any update on the World Hub beta that we've mentioned in previous Q&As?
Yeah, there was an update just yesterday. So this was, it was stuck is not the right word. It was under consideration by our legal team. I don't know whether or not people need to do some release notes, and it was finally deemed not unnecessary. So there's nothing now blocking it anymore. And so I've literally, that was yesterday afternoon. So I need to go sit with Guillaume and the team that actually is managing this, and the Asobo side, and we'll come up with a plan. We have, I think, 60 plus people volunteered to help, and that is where we're going next.
Okay.
So it's coming, and we're excited for it.
Fantastic. Question, is there a process for scenery devs to get a payware level airport into a world update instead of selling it?
There is no process, but you can always write me an email.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, that's what happens is, and I have to think about this more, like, so with New Zealand, right? So we had at some point or another, I said, we really ought to reach out to people who live there, because New Zealand is pretty far away, right? And it's great. It's always best to have local people who have all the information and can just visit and make photos and whatnot. And that was a terrific collaboration with Josh and his team. So I want to do this more. So please, if you're interested, write me a mail.
Awesome. Let me see here. A couple more questions that we have. So is there any news on the freeware category in Marketplace and Backlog in the marketplace for the future?
Well, so I think there's a segment coming up where I'm talking to the marketplace.
That's true. So maybe we can.
So it might be good there.
Yeah, we'll address it there. I know there've been a lot of comments here regarding full weather radar functionality. Are there any updates that any of you have to share about weather radar in particular?
We are talking about this weather and terrain API. This is taking time. I don't have a clear status right now.
Okay. All right.
But to be clear, we obviously see it at the very top of the wish lists. So it's not like we're not seeing it.
No. Yeah,
it's an implementation question, and how do we even have the data that people want? And that's not at all clear.
Next question. Currently, we have the replay beta functionality on PC. What technical details are holding it back to, say, be on Xbox for Xbox users to try?
On Xbox, it would mean that you would replay the file only on Xbox, because you don't have direct access to the data, to the hard drive once you've got your replay. And also it's taking a lot of place on the hard drive, and it's costing also a lot of memory. So if you have a nice place with a nice plane that costs a lot of memory, and then you trigger the capture, we're going to have some issue. Yeah. So we did some technical choices here. The first one was to link the tool to the developer mode. Is there no such developer mode on Xbox for this reason? But we, like Jorg said, for the weather and terrain API, it's also something that we keep in our mind. Yep. So if we find a way to bring the features, we will.
Yep. So let's talk about.
So I just want to say, because somebody says weather radar is a no-go. No, it's not. What we're trying to say is it's not trivial. So we need to go be thoughtful about it and let the devs come to the right conclusions and solutions.
All right. I think this is a good segue to talk about the marketplace, Jorg.
Marketplace. Yeah. So was a big topic, obviously. We talked about it last time, and I wanted to give an update. I wanted to say there's a manager of the marketplace. Her name is Mabel. She's awesome. And she was thinking about maybe coming today, but she's interviewing because we're hiring more people to help with the marketplace. And I think that's an important thing. There's some promising candidates. So I'm talking about the marketplace today, but just know what I'm talking about is a lot of Mabel and the business team that came up with all this. So feedback, and I'll just read some stuff. Current backlog content takes too long to be released. That was feedback number one. We have implemented a change. We defined and rolled out a new process for content creators to own the functional testing and sign off on their on their content for release. That means the content can be released much more quickly. It enables and empowers partners who obviously know the most about their add-ons and how they work to make sure that the functionality works. Microsoft only does compliance testing. So there's some rules and pictures that you need to have and text and whatnot. And it reduces the back and forth. So that just got kicked off, I think on the 24th. And we have also started to show numbers. So you can see this in our weekly updates that are on the website. So we believe this is going to, we had literally a backlog of 1,000. So we are all very interested to see how quickly that backlog comes down with this new process. Second piece of feedback: lower quality content is being released over higher quality content. Implemented a change. We're not going to go into the specifics, but we are now taking into consideration quality for release planning versus a strict first in, first out policy, which is what we had before. So now we're evaluating performance of previously released products. We think about, like, we could look at sales versus ratings. I don't know, but we are now looking at, for the first time, we're looking at the quality of what a particular group has released in the past. We're looking at community feedback on content they deem as exceptional. Like when you guys say this is amazing, that is noted. So you have a direct impact of how we do this, and it's iterative. We are going and adjust and learn as we go. We're going to review this on a regular basis and make sure that specific developers don't get stuck or pigeonholed into one bucket or another, and make this more dynamic. So that's the whole thing. We had a very rigid system in place of priorities, and that is no longer the case, and quality matters a lot more. Feedback 3, the system can be gamed by submitting empty packages to get in place in line, and updating the package while keeping the place in line. So people literally did that. They sent us packages that were basically empty. And that meant for the first in, first out, it meant they could keep working. So we changed this already. We're taking release readiness into consideration for release planning versus strict first in, first out. We noticed this from our own tracking and process, because basically that means is we get a package like 10 times or more before release, and it's like it wasn't ready at all when we first got it. So we're no longer allowing incomplete packages to hold a spot in the processing queue, and keeping things fair and a level playing ground, so all content has an equal starting point. And then additional efforts. So those are the 3 big pieces of feedback. And additional efforts, let's see here, still prioritize being a global product, but no longer blocking or localization. So this is something that's important to me, right? I'm obviously from Germany, right? Like we have now more languages than just about any other thing at Microsoft. I think we just added Korean and Turkish. I don't know if you saw that. And this is our effort to make, I always say flight and the dream of flight is universal. And it sucks when people can't speak the languages and they don't have a good time. So, but there used to be a process where we waited for the marketplace text to be translated, and that sometimes held up release. We asked you this, I think, 2 dev Q&As ago, and everybody said, don't wait for the Wloch stuff, and we don't anymore. So that's already done. Then we're hiring more people. We already hired a new dev on our side to help with tooling, and then we're hiring a new PM, which will also help matters quite a bit. And then we're continuously reviewing both internal and external processes of workflow, how it can be optimized. We will keep listening to what you're saying, how it's actually going. And then enable, we are talking about maybe enabling Xbox testing prior to ingestion. It's speculative, because on PC you can do it, on Xbox you can't. So it's something the team is looking into. But overall, I just would say we're super thankful for our development partners and the third parties. The community feedback has been critical and been heard loud and clear. And please keep it going. And we're not perfect, right? There's always room to improve, but the goal is to have the best marketplace it can possibly be, both from a workflow perspective, that you get what you want when you want it, and that it's safe and stable and protected.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Maybe get some questions, because I talked for like 10 minutes. And it was...
I did see a question. They said, first of all, thank you for implementing all these changes based on feedback. Are any changes coming in the future regarding communication with those who are waiting in the queue to become a marketplace partner? Any kind of communication, like if they should do anything different, if they're not accepted, stuff like that?
I mean, I think we were so underwater. Like, there's no other way to say it. We hired and hired and hired, and that still didn't do the trick. And then we sat there on a mountain of 1,000 add-ons that are not released, and the notion of adding more people to this was not really appealing, right? I mean, we have a meeting every week. We have a meeting that's called partner priority meeting or something, where we wanted to decide what are the next partners that are coming to the marketplace, and the team was just in no mental space to let more companies in. That is now that the intent with all these changes we just made is that's changing.
Yeah.
So don't do anything. I mean, if you applied to the proper process, then we know about you, and we are hopefully now freeing up to actually do this again.
Fantastic. Another question: are there ever going to be changes to have an equitable and fair marketplace refund policy for those if the add-on doesn't work or anything else?
Yeah, honestly, I have to look into this. Let's follow up next time. I'm not the business guy, so I don't know what the rules are and whatnot. But it's a fair question. I mean, Jayne and I, by the way, we always get the chat log. We always talk about what are the takeaways, and I'll try to take action. So this is one, Jayne, that we need to follow up on.
Sounds great. All right. We got about 6 minutes left here, and we have one more thing to talk about.
Oh.
So we're going to move on to that.
Yeah, there's a surprise and there's a
surprise.
tease. A tease? How about
what
that?
What could this mean?
What is that? Anybody know what that is?
Well, it looks like a baseball stadium somewhere.
But where is it, folks? Where is it? Okay. Well, so this is from our. Oh my God. So this is from right. This is from our launch trailer, and it's Houston. Yeah, you got it. Limac 333. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's Houston. What's in Houston this year? Next slide. In person.
And in person, we have Evan joining us from FSExpo. Welcome, Evan. How are you?
Oh, hello. I'm phenomenal. How are you, Jayne?
Great. Thanks for hanging out with us, especially waiting to speak with us throughout the stream. But we are super stoked to have you on. Jorg and Evan, I'll let you take it away to chat about this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so like, I remember in 2019 when we released the trailer. I think it was the same day. I want to say that there was a FSExpo in Dallas, and I can only imagine the bewilderment of everybody in Dallas saying, "What the heck just happened?" There's a flight sim we never heard of. It's some game show. What the heck? And so we did. Obviously, we weren't there, and that was, Microsoft tends to release stuff on shows like E3, so it's just what it is. And then in 2020 we talked, but somehow it was just not working out, and then there was pandemic side, and we couldn't do anything. So but Evan is a very persistent and very effective communicator how the FSExpo is beneficial to the community at large, and I agree. So we are finally coming this year, and I'm really excited. Evan, I don't know what you want to say to this.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We're just super excited as well to bring this show to the community, and of course to have you there and to have Microsoft there. It's really, you talked about back in 2019 in Orlando where we all were. I remember that Sunday afternoon, and I was there with a bunch of like Ed from Orbix and a bunch of our top sort of sponsors, and nobody had any clue, right? So we were all there, and we're like looking at this trailer, and we're like, what the heck's going on? Did you know about this? Did you know about this? So it's phenomenal, that this really actually turns out, funnily enough, Flight Sim Expo is the show where a lot of this news comes out, and where you can try the latest in hardware and virtual reality and setups and sim on everything from a laptop to a mobile device to a desktop. So the fact that we're having, Microsoft there, we're able to celebrate the flight simulation community together is just phenomenal for us.
Yeah, it's Microsoft and Asobo. So we chatted, and our plans are honestly not 100% baked. Want to be transparent, so we booked a nice big space on the floor, which is going to be cool, and Seb committed to coming, which is also wonderful. I think, right, Seb?
Sounds like he's committing right now.
So Seb's coming. I think Martial cannot come for very good reasons, right, Martial?
No. He's muted, but I see head
Yeah,
shakes.
I don't want to talk about that. I'm so disappointed. But I've got some other personal thing that I can't miss.
Mm-hmm.
But a beautiful, positive, personal thing. So it's a good thing. Anyway, so Seb and I are going to be there. I would predict others from the team are going to be here. Are going to be there. There is a idea to invite some of our dear first-party developers. Maybe Hans will come. Maybe Oliver will come. I think maybe Fernando will come, and people like that. So it's because it should be a celebration. I think that's what I fully get about the expo, that it's a celebration of simulation, and I think we want to be there, and it's going to be great to meet you all.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's just meeting people that you've really only talked to in this format, or that you've only interacted with online, or that you've actually never seen in person. That's what this show has always been about. And of course, Houston, great spot for it. So much around. You've got the Space Center there we've arranged tours of. We've got a bunch of air traffic control tours happening in and around the show. And then, of course, there's the show itself at an air museum. Lots of people are flying in airplanes. I guess I shouldn't talk too much about that. But of course, you can all find the details on our website if you're interested.
Yes, I'm already seeing a lot of questions, like what kind of stuff we're going to have. As Jorg said, we'll be working through those details and start sharing them out with, throughout the next several months before June. But we are just super excited to have a presence there and hang out with everyone at FSExpo.
I know, Jayne, you're planning on stuff. Are you and Sean, right?
Yeah, we'll do some kind of community event.
No,
Looking
it's
forward
cool.
to it.
And it's not going to be hot at all. Not
No.
really.
Well, bring a hat, everyone, if you plan on coming.
I'm going to get a white version of this because I ain't wearing black. No.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to add, Evan?
I think just for people who are interested in learning more, our website is FlightSimExpo.com. You can see the floor plan. Of course, you can't see where Microsoft is going to be because we wanted to make this announcement a surprise. But if you see there's a big gap in the middle of one of those hangars, that might be the space that we're saving for Microsoft. So all the details on how you can get to the show, our travel discounts, our hotel discounts, we've really tried to make the event, a really cool experience for the community that anybody can attend, even on a low budget. So please visit our website if you're interested in learning more. It's FlightSimExpo.com. You can always send me an email, give me a phone call, reach me on Discord. And we're looking forward to, just as Jorg said, celebrating the community and bringing everyone together in Houston on June 23rd to 25th.
Fantastic. Thank you, Evan. We look forward to hanging out with you in June.
Thanks, everybody.
Chad's stoked. So, all right. We'll move back now to our content roadmap after we've discussed all the things. So, a couple updates here, Jorg.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is just the update. I moved a few things around. I don't know. You'll probably see it, but it's obviously we announced Oceania, which is nice. And then next time we meet, we'll announce World Update 14 and a new local legend. And then June is jam-packed full of things, in part because I think Evan wanted me to announce something, so we have even a little announcement for his show. So it's gonna be a great summer. Hopefully you see we're on a good path to having lots and lots of activity and new things in Flight Sim. And and so I added it here because it came up a few times. I added a Sim Update 13. We called it a surprise. There's actually something coming with it in August, but there's going to be something like that.
Awesome. That brings us to the end of our developer stream. Thank you, Seb, Martial, and Jorg for your time and efforts to tell us everything going on with Microsoft Flight Simulator and keep our community informed. Just as a heads up for everyone here, while the stream is ending, we will be back in roughly 45 minutes for our Reno Series Round 2 finals, where 7 of the greatest sim Reno racers are competing in all 4 classes. We're going to have both Greg Gibson and Fred Telling, the CEO of Reno Air Race Association, join us to cheer on the pilots. So lots of giveaways as well. Martial, is anything you want to add before we end?
No, thank you, Jen, for doing this for us, and have a very nice time with the Reno races.
Thank you. How about you, Seb?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for the feedback, for the questions.
Awesome. And Jorg?